Hi, you are welcome to my channel ICT Made Easy. Today I will be teaching you input and output devices, which is your chapter 2 according to your curriculum. Before I start, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and you like this video. Then you'll be getting notification whenever I upload another video. Now let's get started.
ICT textbook is boring, right? Do you believe it's too voluminous, containing a lot of information? Even if you read it 1,000,000 times, you might still not be able to answer a GCSE questions correctly. We have a solution for you. We have created all-in-one GCSE summary slides for each chapter. It covers the whole curriculum. We present it in a concise manner, all you need to be an A-star student. The slide is well prepared by an ICT Cambridge examiner. After each topic, we provide a GCSE-related questions with answers. Download now. www.ictmadeeasy.com.
As I used to tell you, the reason why I actually make this video, whenever you go through the textbook, everything looks quite simple. But whenever you see the question in your IGCSE, you got to know that you are unable to answer the questions because they are advanced questions. Now, what I'm going to do is, at the end of this video, I'm expecting you to be able to answer any question related to chapter 2. If you are unable to do that, then you have to watch this video again. Let's get started now. The first question I would like to ask you, which of the following is an input devices? Can you try to answer this? This is a speaker, microphone, keyboard, and which of all these ones are input devices? Of course, you too, you can know input devices are microphone and keyboard, while the output devices are, or the output devices here is a speaker. Now, let's talk about the input devices. When we say input devices, these are the devices we use to key in a data or information into our computer. So there are a lot of examples, there are a lot of them. So microphone, digital camera, mouse, keyboard, all these ones are input devices. Now, input devices can be categorized into many phases. So let's talk about the typing devices first. Some input devices, we use them to type, and some we just use them as a pointing devices. Now let's talk about typing devices first. The first one we'll be talking about here is a keyboard. This is a standard keyboard. Keyboard, these are most common input devices and are used to input text, numbers, and instruction into the computer. Of course, the most famous and the most common layout is QWERTY layer. If you look at your keyboard now, you will see it's a QWERTY layer. We do have another layer, like ABC. Then you do have another one like ZWARTY and all those things, but this is the most famous one. For sure, Cambridge will never ask you to define a keyboard. What is a keyboard? They will never ask you this, but it's just a general information you're supposed to know. Now we do have another type of keyboard. We call it ergonomic keyboard. These are designed to reduce the health-related problems with standard keyboards, such as carpal tunnel syndrome and repetitive strain injury. Yes, this is very important. You might be asked why ergonomic keyboard is encouraged, either ergonomic mouse or ergonomic keyboard. Why is it encouraged? The reason is because it reduces the health-related problems. So if you are using the standard keyboard, there is every tendency later or sooner one might have the problem, these health issues, carpal tunnel syndrome, CTS, or repetitive strain injury. But if you are using ergonomic keyboard or ergonomic mouse, it's less likely when we have this issue. All right. Now, let's continue. We do have another type of keyboard. We actually call it concept keyboard. Concept keyboard. So this concept keyboard, it uses icons or phrases instead of standard letters, as you can see from here. In fact, they use it in a restaurant and in other places as well. Then another thing you're supposed to know here is what we call numeric keypad. Keypad. So this keypad, of course, it is being used in ATM machine, in mobile phones, POS, and some other devices. So take note of this. We don't call this one keyboard. Even though if you look at your keyboard presently now, perhaps if you are using monitor, sorry, if you are using desktop or you are using a laptop device, you will see that some of the laptop used to have this keypad. It has numeric keypad and it has another section for the keyboard. So take note of this. Now, let's talk about pointing devices now. The first pointing devices we talk about here is mouse. Mouse. What is all about? Of course, mouse. We use a mouse to move or position a cursor. So on our computer screen. So and we do have wireless and we have wired mouse. I'm pretty sure you will know this one. The one we use in our laptop. Yeah, it is called touchpad. It is called touchpad. So it's actually doing the same function as mouse, but this one is in laptop. So we don't call it mouse, we call it touchpad. Now this one is tracker bar, so take note. Previously Cambridge used to give pictures of all these devices and they will ask you to name it. But just of recent, that's not their style any longer. They don't ask that kind of question again. But they might actually say, they might give you a question like this. Which the pointing device used in laptop? The pointing device used in laptop. So what is that pointing device we use in laptop? Yeah, that's a touchpad. All right, so take note of that. Then tracker bar users with disabilities, so they use it. You know, whoever having RSI or whatsoever, so they use tracker bar. There is no need of moving mouse here and there. It's just only the ball. As you can see here, you have to be moving. Just only this ball needs to be moving to control the cursor on the screen. Now, other input devices we have is this. Of course, you know this is what you call remote control, and it's used to control the operation of other devices by using infrared signal. So take note, infrared signal. Now, another one is this, and this is what we call joystick. Is being used in many applications, flight simulators and some other, even the gamers, those used to play games, they use it a lot, joystick. So pay attention to that. Now, another one is this. Have you ever seen something like this before? This is what we call driving wheel. So the function is similar to joystick, by the way. As you can see, it has a lot of buttons. So this is mostly used by gamers. It's also an input device. And of course, you know this. So this is a touch screen. It's a new technology in which a user can choose an option by touching an icon on the screen. So you don't actually need to use mouse any longer. You might be given questions like, what is the advantages of using touch screen instead of using normal pointing devices like mouse or and some other things like that? So, well, one of the advantages is that you have less chance of having health issues, such as carpal tunnel syndrome we mentioned earlier, or RSI, repetitive strain injury. We are going to see some questions similar to this in a moment. Now, another pointing devices you're supposed to know here is this, and this is a scanner. We use it to enter information from hard copy into a computer. Why about this? Of course, you know this. This is a digital camera. So images are stored in memory card and can be transferred into your computer. And this one is a video camera used to take still images and transfer to a computer. Now, the reason why I'm so fast to explain all these input devices is I'm going to show you how Cambridge actually asks questions here. They will never ask you what is a video camera. Cambridge will never ask you what is a microphone or anything like that, but they might ask you the function, or you might give in the function and they say which of the input devices does this. For example, they might say that an input device which is used to input sound into the computer. What is that? Input device which is used to input sound into the computer. What is that? That's a microphone. You see, that's how they give questions. Okay, that's why I will not spend much time on all these devices. Now, Microphone, it is used to input sound into a computer, as I mentioned earlier. Then graphical tablet is used with a stylus to produce freehand drawing. Of course, it is used everywhere now, not just only in China and Japan. Now, what about this? This is a webcam, you know that? So cameras that are connected to a computer directly, and it has no memory. It's just only to take picture, no more, no less. All right, take note, has no memory. You might be asked a question like that. What's the benefit of using webcam? So, you know, they might say that Adam want to record itself. It has option of using webcam in his laptop or using a video camera or digital camera. What is the benefit of using webcam in the, or what's the benefit of using video, a digital camera instead of using webcam? So one of the advantages is that if you use a digital camera, so there is a memory card in which every video you take, every picture you take, it will be stored in the memory card, and you can transfer your data from the memory card to your computer. But if you are using webcam is just only to take picture. It has no memory, nothing. So we are going to see questions similar to this in a moment. So I just draw your attention to things like this. Now, what about this? This is what we call a Lightspin. We call a Lightspin used to, we use it with computer as an input devices. Now, do you know? No worth. All right. Now, do you know that a sensor is a device as well? Sensor is a device. I don't know if you've heard of this before or you've seen it before. A sensor is a device. Then what do we use it for? It converts a real world property into a data that a computer can process. Now, we do have a lot of sensor. We have a IR sensor, you have temperature sensor, rain sensor, you know, pressure sensor, humidity sensor, a lot of sensor. All these sensors, we only use the temperature sensor. Yeah, we use it to determine the temperature of a place. Instead of using human being, we use a sensor. Pressure sensor, yeah, we use it to tell us the pressure in a certain place. The rain sensor and some other sensors as well. Now, for sensor, a sensor is a device which senses data and input it into a computer. That's just only the function of a sensor. The data is a measurement of a physical quantity. You know, we have, it might be, the data we are talking about, it might be a temperature, light sensor, moisture sensor, you know, humidity sensor, whatever the type of sensor it is. We do have a lot of them. Each sensor does a specific task. Pay attention to that. Then computer only understand digital data. So sensors actually understand analog. Why computers? Yeah, the computer we are using, it never understand analog. It understand digital. Digital means binary, 0 and 1. That's the only thing computer understand. So now, but for the sensor only understand analog. Actually, you might be thinking, what is called that analog? I never understand. Analog is just a normal information. Just the way I'm speaking, as I'm speaking, so it is analog data, right? So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, A, B, C, D, E, F, all those, everything are just analog. Now, but if computer doesn't understand A, B, C, D, computer understand only binary, which means if you send A to the computer will need to convert that A to binary. Just imagine if your name is Adam, or your name, whatever, if your name is Adam, so computer will convert A into binary, D into binary, another A into binary, and M into binary. So you get, that's how computer works. But normal data, we call it analog. So then the opposite of analog is binary, and that's what computer understands. And sensor actually takes reading in analog form. Because of that, the information from the sensor needs to be converted into digital. Sensor cannot communicate directly with the digital. Just like I as human being, I cannot communicate directly with the whatever information I'm seeing. I need something that will convert it into binary so that computer can understand it. The same thing for the sensor. So that converter, we call it ADC, analog to digital converter, or you can just remove that to analog digital converter. So that's a kind of a very small device or a software which actually convert the analog information from the sensor to digital or to binary information which computer, or to binary data which computer can understand. Now, sensors are used in both monitoring and control applications. So sensors are used virtually everywhere. As you can see what is happening here, this guy is actually talking. I told you earlier, every single thing is analog. As he's talking, he's actually speaking and he's using microphone as an input device. So when it gets to the computer, computer has ADC inside it. So computer will actually convert its analog data, which is the voice. It will convert it into 1000111110. No, it might be so many, so that it can send it to the computer and computer can understand what this guy is actually saying. You get it now. Now let's proceed. So the next one is we do have so analog to digital converter. All right, it converts analog into this, how it looks like. This is what we call IC, integrated circuit, analog to digital converter, ADC. Now, can you guess how many sensors are in automatic washing machine? Yeah, there are a lot. There are lots, a lot. You know, just only one automatic machine, we have a sensor there which actually determines the pressure of water or something like that. Or if you close the door or you open the door, they put a sensor there. So if you open the door, you know, so there is a sensor there which is going to determine somebody already opened the door. So, and the washing machine will stop working at that moment. Then you have a temperature sensor and some other sensors you have there. So take note of this. In just only one device, you might see as many sensors as possible there. Now, so temperature, we do have temperature sensor. What is it used for? It's used in greenhouse to measure temperature. No, not only in greenhouse, it's used in many, in many applications. Light sensor, moisture sensor, water level sensor, proximity sensor, movement sensor, infrared sensor, pressure sensor. So there are a lot of them. So they are actually used to, they are used in application to do a certain thing. All right, take note of all these type of sensor and what they do. Now, let's talk about types of sensor applications now. We have temperature sensor. This is how it looks like. Temperature sensor is used in oven. If you have oven in your house, it's all about how hot something is. So it's using temperature sensor for sure. Then it is being used in automatic washing machine as well. Central heating system is being used. Automatic glass houses is being used. Now, pressure sensor is being used in many places as well. In burglar alarm system, washing machine, environmental monitoring. What about light sensor? It's being used in many applications, greenhouse applications, street light controls, and it's being used in other applications as well. It's not just only these few applications I mentioned. Now, type of sensor application, sound or acoustic sensor. So it's being used virtually, so in many places as well, like monitoring liquid and powder flow in pipes. Humidity sensor, so it's being used for environmental monitoring. What about pH sensor? Yeah, for chemical processes. Okay, take note of all this. Now, the question is, of course, you cannot escape this kind of question. What is the advantages of using sensor instead of using human being? I can just ask human being to take a temperature of a place for me instead of using sensor. Well, one of the advantages of using sensor is very similar to when you are giving this when they are talking about robots. What are the advantages of using a robot instead of using a human being? The same thing, the same answer. Okay, more accurate readings compared to human. Then readings are continuous. Process is automatic, very accurate to take decision. Then very useful in dangerous places. Then does not have feelings or get tired. Then it doesn't go on strike, and you don't even need to pay salary, right? No need to pay salary to censor. So that's the advantages of using it. Whatever you remember here, so worth a mark, and it can work 24/7. Don't forget, it's also part of the point. It can work 24/7. But disadvantages, of course, it has advantages. Like a faulty sensor might actually give fake results, so which is quite dangerous. Then it is not easy to set up as well, right? Not everyone knows how to set up sensor. Then it is quite expensive, even though it might be cheaper at long run. It is cheaper at long run, but it's quite expensive to set up. Then it requires technical know-how as well. Technical know-how. Then if the sensor doesn't work, it means the production will be stopped. Now, the section 2 of this video, I will quickly talk about this. Section 2 of this video is all about direct data entry. Direct data entry. So devices for reading information from cards. That's the first devices we talk about. I'm pretty sure you'll have seen this kind of device virtually everywhere. So if you go to petrol station or filling station or anywhere, you can easily see this kind of device. We call it magnetic strip reader. What it does is used to read information on magnetic strip found at the back of a credit card. Take note. Then contactless card reader. So it allows customers to pay without using their PIN. So people are using it virtually everywhere. Then it by using radio wave. Okay. Chip and pen reader. There's it. So people are using it as well. It is used at electronic fund transfer at point of sale. All right. Then another one is RFID reader, something like this. So it uses radio waves to read and capture information from a tag. Then the tag can be read from a distance of several meters. Then it comprises of microchips and antenna. The former is used to store, and the later is actually used to process the information. It's used to receive and transmit data information. The reason why I give more points on this is this question is very famous. You know, they may actually ask you how RFID works. How RFID works. So if they ask you, this is the answer. Okay. Then magnetic ink character reader, MICR. So take note of what it does. Basically, so it's a device which can read a character printed in a special ink. All right, magnetic ink character reader. Magnetic ink character reader. Then it is used to read character at the bottom of a check. At the bottom, the check, if you know check, the one they used to collect money in the banks. So they use magnetic character reader to read the information on it at the back of it. Then another one is OMR, optical mark reader. In your objective paper, you know, they don't normally mark it manually. They don't mark it manually. They actually mark it by using this device, optical mark reader. Take note of that. Then another one is OCR. Anything, you know, anything character is a name given to software that takes scan text and convert it into a computer readable form. It is used to read passport information and ID. Not only this, even some digital camera, they have OCR inside them. That's why if you overspeed, let's say on highway, you are driving and you overspeed, you will see the camera will just snap your car. So when it snaps it, there is OCR which can actually read the plate number of your car. There is an OCR inside the digital camera which can read the plate number of your car. So OCR is being used in many applications now. All right, or maybe you are just lined up somewhere and somebody just use a device just to read the name, your name, and the computer can understand it. So we call it anything that can read character. So they call it optical character reader. So pay attention to that. Now, another one you're supposed to know is a barcode reader. Used to read information in the form of a barcode, and this one is the QR code, which is a quick response. That's the full meaning of a QR code. So it makes up of a matrix of filled in dark square on a light background. All right, that's what it does. Now, section 3 of this video, we are going to talk about the output devices. Okay, when we say output devices, these are the devices which allow data to be output from a computer, from the output of a computer. Now, the first out, as you can see, two different monitors I'm showing you here. The first one is called CRT Monitor, while the second one is called TFT Monitor. You can see what is the difference. Of course, CRT Monitor is an old technology, by the way. We call it cathode ray tube. All right, these are least expensive monitor, and they are used as output devices in computer system as well. It's also very similar to your TV, you know, the old ones. But the new technology now is TFT, which is the thin film transistor. This is new technology for the TV we are using at home, for the screen of our monitor, so yeah, in our computer. These are new form of monitors which are flat and they are portable, so they are integral part of a laptop computer. Now, another thing we want to talk about here, are these two. One is the LCD and LED. LCD and LED. So the first thing, CRT are not used any longer in most places. Yes, CRT, cathode ray tube, are not used any longer in most places. So most monitors and TV screens are made using liquid crystal display. That's what we call LCD technology. However, it has a poor contrast and brightness. LCD, you know, LCD screen is not that bright. That's the problem. Then because of that, they introduce what we call LED. That's light emitting diode. LED, light emitting diode. So take note, what's the major difference between LCD? Both LCD and LED are actually TFT monitor. They are thin transistor, yeah, TFT. So, but just sorry, I think TFT, I call it thin film transistor. Thin film transistor. Now, both LCD and LED. However, take note, the major difference between LED and LCD is LCD, it has a poor contrast and brightness. However, LED, it has a better contrast and brightness. So that's why LED is the latest technology nowadays. Now, for multimedia projector, of course, you know that one already. It receives signals that can be analog or digital from a computer, from TV, DVD player, or anything like that. Now, another thing you're supposed to know here is different types of printer we have. So which is, we have a laser printer and you have an Inject printer. What's the major difference between these two types of printer? So now when we say anything is a laser printer, it means it's produced very high quality. Then the printer rate, the printing rate is very, very quick, is very fast. Then they use toner as well, and they are very they have very high buffer rate for memory, which means if I'm printing, another person is printing, another person is printing, another person is printing, another person is printing, no problem. It can actually buffer who come first. The one come first will print. After it finish, it will print the second person. After it finish, it will print the third one. That's what we call buffer rate. It has a very high buffer rate. Then they have very low noise, and you know they are used in big offices to print very high volume materials. Then although they are quite expensive, you know, to run and to produce, so and they produce ozone and volatile organic compound as well, which is quite dangerous. So that's why majority of the laser printer, they don't use in office area. They used to have a room for it, and they put the printer there. So they don't normally put the laser printer where people are sitting. It's quite dangerous because it emits ozone and volatile organic compound. Now let's talk about Inject printer now. Inject printer, they are used to print good quality hard copy as well. However, so they use cartridge. Don't forget toner. Laser printer actually use toner, but whenever they are talking about toner, the first thing you will think of is laser printer. But whenever they are talking about cartridge, the first thing we think of is Inject printer. Then they are quite cheap as compared to laser printer. Then they are very slow as well. and they make a lot of noise. That's why whenever you are using any printer that make noise, then it's an inkjet printer. You see something like when you are printing. So that kind of printer is an inkjet printer. Laser printer never make noise like that. Then another type of printer you're supposed to know is what we call dot matrix printer. This is an old technology, by the way. It's an old printer. It uses a print head which presses against an ink ribbon with moving back and forth. All right. So then it is too noisy, very low quality and slow printing, very low quality and slow printing. So pay attention to that. Okay. Then it is used to print shop receipts and airline ticket and in some other places like in workshop. So workshop is a very dirty place. Let's say mechanic workshop or truck workshop is a very dirty place. So using a noisy printer in a noisy place, so it's not an issue. Then another type of printer you're supposed to know is wide format printer. So this one are generally used when large format printing is required, something that is actually more than A4. You see, all what we've been talking about earlier, laser printer, inkjet printer, even including this dot matrix printer, they are using A4 paper, and I believe you know what A4 paper is. But whenever you want to print a very high quality, like A3 or something like that, or A2 or A1 paper, like a very big poster, then you are going to use wide format printer. All right, take note of that. And the last one, this is a 3D printer, is a kind of printer we use to print a solid object, like a shoe. You can never use laser printer. Laser printer can only print anything paper, even including this wide format printer. All of them, they are paper. But whenever you want to print a solid object, something like a shoe, something like a cup or something like that, then you need to use a 3D printer. So pay attention to that. Now, section 4, which is the last part of this chapter 2 according to your curriculum, we call it control application. For control application, there are a few things you're supposed to know here. So one, there is something we call actuator. So what does it do? Then there is something we call motor. When we say actuator, these are used to take signals from a computer and it convert them into some form of motion. All right. Then digital signals are sent from the computer to an actuator to operate a device. They will never ask you, as I always tell you, Cambridge will never ask you what is an actuator, but you just need to know what it does. Actually, this is how it works. When the sensor takes any reading, it will send it to ADC to convert into digital. Then ADC will send it to the computer, or to the microprocessor. The microprocessor will tell the actuator to do something. It might actually ask the actuator to open the barrier or to turn on, or to turn on the light or anything like that. Then another control devices we have is what we call a motor. So the motor is used to turn on or off by an actuator, okay? And it is used in many applications, used in automatic washing machine to make the drum rotate or anything involves movement. So we use motor for it. Then another one is buzzer. So a switch, this one is all about sound. So they use it for sound and some other things like that. Then another thing we have here is light. Okay, this kind of LED light. So it's connected to the actuator to switch on the light or anything like that. So it is being used in many applications. So take note of all this. Now another one is the heater, so which is controlled by actuator as well. So actuator actually control all this one. It tells them to do something. Actuator can actually tell the motor to start moving now. Actuator can tell the heater to increase the heat in a certain room. The actuator can actually inform the light to turn on. So actuator is the one that is controlling all of them. So you are going to see it in a question. So no worries about this. You are going to see it in a question in a moment. Now, let's quickly look at some past year questions here. I will be fast a bit. Let's try to look at some past year questions related to chapter 2. If you go through this video, I believe That's, you know, in your textbook, as I used to say, that it's very, very voluminous. It has a lot of information, but I've already summarized everything into very like 35 or 40 slides. That's all what you need to know. Everything in chapter 2, that's what you are seeing in this slide. All right, and you can even go to my website to download it as well. Let's see this question. Take the most appropriate device for reading the detail from the following media. So you are given all these media: optical mark reader, magnetic ink character reader, barcode, and chip and pin reader. What do you think? What device do we use to read information from debit card out of this? Debit card. Of course, it's chip and pin reader, as we discussed earlier. What about bank check? You're supposed to remember this. That's MICR, magnetic ink character reader. So a candidate response, the one they use to mark your exam paper. So we call it, as you can even see from the name, optical mark reader. What about this? A label on a can of a soap. Of course, that one is a barcode. If you go to any grocery shop, then you can easily see barcode reader. So to read the information on the label. Now, this one says complete the following sentences using the most appropriate item from the list. Which device do you think is a device? That is a device used to input a pin. Input a pin. What do you think? Of course, it's a numeric keypad. Numeric keypad. Analyzes and executes a program line by line. So line by line. So we talk about this when we are talking about the operating system, by the way, and different operating system we have. That one is an interpreter. So it's an interpreter, all right? So take note of that. And the next one is a 3D printer. So we said that is a kind of printer which we use to print solid objects, all right? Is a 3D printer. And this one produces output in the form of a sound. Output, they don't say input. If it is input, that will be microphone. But this one say output in form of a sound. Definitely this one will be a speaker. So take note of that. What about this question? So circle the names of 3 devices which are used for input. Input device, 3 devices which are used for input. Mouse, what other thing? Then remote control was the last one. Then touch screen. Touch screen can be used as an input and output devices. Take notes. Touch screen technology can be used as an input or output devices. Now, this one says name 3 other devices used to input or output data which will be needed to take part in the video conference. They are talking about video conference now. They said that they've already used keyboard and mouse. Don't mention keyboard and mouse again. What other 3 devices they can use for video conferences? Of course, so under input or output. Input or output, then they will use monitor for sure, then speaker as well as the microphone. All right, now the next one says Adam is paying his bill, is paying his bill in a restaurant using a contactless debit card. And the question is describe the computer processing involved in electronic EFT using contactless card. Contactless card, we talked about it earlier. The first thing the reader will do is to check the amount to pay. Is it less than the contactless limit? The limit is actually $25 US. $25 US. So the first thing is going to do is what you bought in the shop or in grocery shop, is it actually less than $25 US? If the answer is yes, then it will continue. If it is no, then it will decline straight away. There is no need to continue. Then the data is actually read from the chip, the chip in your card. The data is read by using this RFID or by using NFC. The restaurant bank's computer contacts the customer bank. Then after that, the card is checked if the card is valid or not. Then if the card is valid, then the transaction will continue. If not, the transaction will be terminated and authorization code is sent to the customer, so to authorize the transaction. So then the price of the meal is deducted from the customer's account. All right. Now take note of that. Now this question says MICR, OMR, and OCR. very similar to the one we see earlier. Which device is used to read magnetic data on check? Of course, that one is MIC. Anything check is MIC app. Just take note. Used to read car number. I gave you example of OCR earlier for car number. Used when entering handwritten text. I gave you OCR as well. Used to read multiple choice examination. In as much as examination is optical mark reader. Circle 2 items which are used as an output device. Output device, 3D printer is an output device. And what about this? Monitor, output device. Others are not. Now, what about this? A device used to input sound is called microphone. A device is used to enter a 4-digit code when paying by debit card in a shop is called, numeric keypad. A pointing device commonly built into a laptop. What do we call that earlier? Touchpad. Then a device used by designers and artists, so which has a stylus for drawing applications. What do we call that? That would be graphical tablets. Next question. A device that is most suited to being used to produce hard copy output in a general office environment. Just imagine, in a general office environment, what is that? That would be laser printer. That would be laser printer. Then this one is magnetic ink character reader, as we said earlier. Then this one is a wide format printer, as I showed you earlier. And the last one will be a speaker. Now, name 2 input devices that will be found at a POS terminal. Of course, they will use barcode reader. I believe you know what POS is. If you go to a grocery shop and you want to pay something with your card or something like that, or you want to at checkout, you want to pay, then for sure, so they use this. All right, touch screen and as well as a barcode. Now, name 2 output devices that will be found at a POS. What are the 2 output devices? So they use a printer and they use monitor as well. Now, this question says, tick whether the following are examples of impact printers or non-impact printers. When we say impact printers, it means printers that has a kind of sign or something like a dot on a paper. So now, for sure, whenever you see question like this, just only dot matrix printer is an impact printer because it's an old technology. You can feel it even when you print anything through dot matrix printer. But any other printers are non-impact. Any other one are non-impact. So take note of that. Now, according to this question, you are given some options here. Then this one says high resolution drawing in hard copy. We talked about it already. That's graph plotter. Then sound from a computer. Then speaker. Then then this one says a solid object. Then that's 3D printer. And scenes from a video game. And that's a monitor. So take note and make sure you write it correctly, because you are given option. You don't have any reason not to spell it correctly. You are given option already, so make sure you write it correctly. Now this one says name 2 direct input methods the card could use. According to this question, you need to read the question, then you should name 2 direct input methods the card could use. Well, it can read the data from a barcode using a barcode reader, and it can also use RFID technology to read the data on a tag from a slight distance. All right, they are talking about the librarian. What are the 2 things that they can use there? They can use a barcode and they can use an RFID, from a distance. And then give 2 examples of biometric input. Of course, things like fingerprints, retina scan, and some other things like that. Then this one says a device that reads black and white lines on a product is called, that's a barcode. A device that inputs the sound made by human voice, then that is a microphone. Then a device which is used to read the data from a bottom of a bank check. I told you whenever you see checks, then it means it's a magnetic ink character reader. And finally, an input device used to input the biometric details of an eye, and that one is a retina scanner. As you can see from here, they are just telling you the functions. They never ask you, so what is a retina scanner? So what is a microphone, or what is a magnetic ink character reader? They will never ask such question, but they will give you their function and you can identify so what they do. This question says there are many types of printer. Name the printer which best fits the description given below. So the first one, you are given a printer that prints by pressing metal pins against an ink ribbon, so on the paper. So this is an inkjet printer. So then the second one says a printer that sprays tiny droplets of ink directly on the paper, That one is an old technology, which is dot matrix printer. Then a printer that uses toner. Immediately you see toner, that one is a laser printer. Then immediately you see a solid object, that one is a 3D printer. Now, next question says, take whether the following statements are true or false. So answers to multiple choice examination paper can be read using an optical mark reader. For sure, this is true. Then MIC, a magnetic ink character reader, reads the information on a credit card. No, we use pin reader or chip reader to read information on a credit card. We don't use MICR for this. We use MICR, magnetic ink character reader, for check, to read the information at the bottom of a check. Then the chip on the credit card is read by a pin reader. Yes, correct. That's what I just mentioned. And an RFID chip can be read to track stock. Yeah, they use it for tracking. Okay, to track buses, animals, or anything. Now, this question says the system currently using barcode to read the data on the medicine packets as well as the shelf that the medicine packets are located on. The hospital is considering using embedded RFID chip in the packaging rather than a barcode. Explain the advantages of using RFID chip in this scenario. Well, first thing you can see here is it can be read at a greater distance, which means they don't need to move closer to the to the shelf, so before they can read the data. So if they use RFID, they can actually read the data from a greater distance. Then don't need to be positioned in line of sight any longer, and then it can also be updated easily. Then it will read the data. The data are read at faster rate, and you can say it is more reusable if they use RFID, but if they use barcode, it's only one-time printing and you cannot use it for something else. So the larger storage capacity and greater security, it is more secure than barcode. Anybody can generate barcode, but RFID is a bit difficult to generate. All right. Then cannot misread if RFID grouped together. Now, the next chapter we'll be discussing, that will be chapter 3, and that's all about media, storage media and devices. As I always advise you, try to study earlier before your exam, and if you need this slide, you can just visit my website so to download the slide. So see you guys, and thank you for watching. I will upload part 3 of this video, which is chapter 3 of this video, anytime soon. Bye.